BookTube, I'm back. I don't want to throw a bunch of excuses at you of why I haven't been making videos, but mostly it boils down to me being very busy at work and life stuff, and my dog Fable, which is funny. Like, I wish I could turn this like camera around like to the other camera on the back, because Fable is like right right up against the camera, because when I push the on button, it makes like a dinging noise, and she is like. So I'm staring at you, but really she's right beside me as well, so it's really funny. Anyway, so with Fable, she got sick for a week. I think she ate something, because I've been meeting up with a couple of German Shepherds, 5 to be exact, 5 German Shepherds, and all of them, including Fable, got sick. I think they had eaten like some dirt or swallowed a puddle of water. Something upset her, and so she was sick for a week, and so. Anyway, I've been wanting to make some Nonfiction November videos, because I love Nonfiction November. I've been participating since the very beginning, the first time that Olive over at A Book Olive hosted this readathon, and I had full intention of making some videos for it. But I thought, okay, the least I can do, even though it's December, is do a wrap up of some of the favorite books that I read this month, and a lot of them are nature books. I read a mixture of like memoirs and biography, nature, science, which I love all of them, but nature writing is like one of my go-to favorites, and so yeah, a lot of them are going to show up on here. But yeah, sorry again for the lapse in videos, but I'm back now, and fingers crossed, please. I could like stay consistent with this, like mostly consistency. Like if I get in a habit of something, then I know I can, stick with it. I just need to pick up that habit again, because oh my goodness, I am just like make videos here and there. It just doesn't seem to work for me. I need to, be consistent here. So I'll start with the physical book, A Year in the Maine Woods by Bernd Heinrich. And this is one of my favorite authors on birds. He wrote A Mind of a Raven, several others that I've read, Ravens in Winter. I have The Homing Instinct on my shelf that I also need to read. But I read, I think, like 3 or 4 or 5 of his books, and I really, really like him. And he's pretty proficient in prolific in that he's written, I think, like 20, 30 books or so. I still have quite a ways to go. But this is about his cabin that he has in Maine. He teaches as a professor in Vermont, but he spends as much time as possible in this cabin. It's very like roughing it in a way. There isn't any running water. I'm not sure there's any electricity. I mean, at least in this one, there's no electricity, it seems like, and no heat. And so, he has to like chop the wood. It's all like preparing for these long Maine winters. And he talks about like the flora and fauna around him, and it's just a fantastic read. I really like his books, and so when I saw this one, like talk about a whole year, and it's broken down into seasons, each little part, and there is some illustrations that he's done. I can show you a couple more, because like each chapter seems to have one. So like it has this writing too, like it says this one's a sapsucker made 2 to 3 taps. And so he's like measuring it on this red maple. So yeah, it was just a really, really nice read. And his writing's very approachable. So then let's go to the ebooks, and the first one is another author that I've read quite a bit from. This is Cy Montgomery's The Hummingbird Gift. This is her newest book, I believe. Wonder, Beauty, and Renewal on Wings, and it is very, very short. I read it on ebook, so I'm not sure how many pages, but maybe like 100 or less. And this is all about hummingbirds. And I don't think I've ever read a book specifically on hummingbirds. And this kind of gave me just like a sampling of what they're about. Like their anatomy. Like how they go from, because this story is about how she goes to a friend's house that they are like rehabilitating these hummingbirds, the baby hummingbirds that were just found, getting them ready for release. And so yeah, I want to know all the things about hummingbirds. Now they're fascinating. Like talk about like their heart and lungs, like the air sacs that they have, and like that's like basically their whole body. They're just like a little like soap bubble. I think the soap bubble is what she refer to them as. So yeah, I just love this book. And so if you've read Cy Montgomery or you're interested in like a little quick read, then this would be perfect. I have Carolyn Knapp's Pack of Two, The Intricate Bond Between People and Dogs. And this is an older book. This is following her story of how she got her dog and her journey with them. It's just her as like a single woman with the dog. And but it's not just her story. She interviews a lot of people. So you get so many different perspectives, different relationships with dogs. And it was just fascinating. And I looked this author up, and she like died. She died from lung cancer because she was a really heavy smoker. And then one of her only other books that she's written was about alcohol addiction. So it seems like she dealt with a lot of addictions in her life. And so I was like, oh, I don't have many more books to read from her outside the one on addiction. And she does mention that book in here and her story on how the dog kind of like helped her in a way, like pulling her focus from her like personal self into helping the dog. And yeah, this is just a great book because you get so many other perspectives outside. Not that hers isn't valid, but it kind of like supports all the things she's talking about that we do as dog owners, and like just how she walks by and she's constantly petting the dog and like cooing to it. And the dog, she's like, does the dog like this? I don't know. But she has a lot of self-doubt, and so she's constantly questioning her actions. But when she interviews people, then that kind of like supports her thoughts there. I have High, Wide, and Lonesome, Growing Up on the Colorado Frontier by Hal Borland. And again, I think this is an author I've read a lot from. And maybe that's why these are all like my favorites of the month. It's kind of like I know what to expect from their writing. And I just know I'm not going to be disappointed. But this is about his growing up. It's a memoir about him growing up in the High Plains in Colorado. He's from somewhere in the Plains states, in Nebraska. And he goes to the High Plains of Colorado. And when he's really young, and he talks about his experience going through up to high school. And it was just great. It was just like kind of like the day-to-day like frontier life, the risks that are involved, like the different animals and like the poisonous snakes and all that kind of stuff that they come across, and just the struggle of the day-to-day life, because the winters are very rough, and they talk about how like not all winters are the same. But at one point, him and his mother are by themselves in a cabin, and the father is working as a journalist in the town like nearby. But he can't come home because they're just using wagons and horses, and so it's not a easy commute. And so they're like living on beans and very little food. And so when the father finally comes back after this long winter, he's like, oh, you're just all skin and bones, and just like that reality of if you don't have time to put in your crop, or if it's spoiled and by animals, bugs, or nature, then that's all you have in a way. If you don't have a lot of funds to go to the mercantile and get food. But so yeah, this was a great book. I think it's from like 1900, 1910 is the time span of when this took place. And then the second to last one I have is A Place in the Woods by Helen Hoover. Again, another nature book. But this is it's so interesting because this is about a scientist, Helen Hoover, who, her and her husband, who is an artist, they are living in Chicago, have a very successful career, and late in life, I think they're like 40s, they decide kind of like drop everything. Like it's either now or never. Either we're going to be able to drop everything and move to out in the wilds of the country while we're still able, or it's going to, we're going to stick around here in Chicago forever in a way. And then finally, when the time is right, then, it'll be too risky to be out in the middle of nowhere when they're elderly. And so they make this big move to like northern Minnesota, like way up at the top, like right near Canada. She's like somehow like she's living near a lake, and across the lake is Canada. So it talks about them like renovating the house that they are living in and getting that ready. Same with like the other book, getting the food and everything prepared. And she doesn't exactly know what to do now that she's dropped her scientist career. but she eventually picks up writing, and so she's written a couple other books. And so this is an author where I've gotten all these from my library, but the other two books aren't at my library. But I went straight away, and they're all available on ebooks, at least in the Kindle store. And so I like snatched all of them up, which is not something I typically do. But I immediately, okay, what else has she written? Because I want to read it. Because it was just really nice to read, and like the small town and the people she meets, and just like the supportive community was just really delightful. And then the last book is The Beatles, the biography by Bob Spitz. And so I had no idea going into this that there was a documentary on the Beatles, their last well, I forgot, I don't even know what I've only seen like a little snippet of the documentary, but it's like The Last Stand. I don't know, but it's about them recording the last album. And that's actually discussed about in here. But I read this because Steve Donahue had mentioned this book a month or so ago, and I was recommending it. And I've read Bob Spitz, the Reagan biography, and then I'm really interested now that I read this in like the Led Zeppelin biography that's coming out soon. But this, I'm not a big music person, and the Beatles, like, I know a couple of their songs, like I think the songs that everyone knows, but I am not a fanatic. I'm not a huge fan. I mean, it's just okay, but I was interested in the story, and I learned a lot. but even for like avid fans, I think this would still be good for you because it's so well written. I mean, I was captivated from like the first page on. I didn't want to put it down, and it's a big book. It took me a couple of days to get through, and just their stories, like they come from nothing, and they're so young when it starts, and then you learn about like their personalities, and some of them I liked, some of them I didn't, but it's just and then how they ended up after their careers, and how someone like some of them are a little bit wacky in what they what they pursue and interested in. But yeah, this was a great read. For sure my favorite biography that I read over Nonfiction November. So anyway, those are my top, I think, 6 that I've selected. That I couldn't do 5. Maybe I picked 7. I don't even know. But anyway, I'm very happy to be back. I've been watching lots of the Vlogmas videos, and I would love to have done that. But one thing is, like, I don't know. I don't want to be constant. I'm not a person who carries my phone around with me all the time. Like, I'll get a text or a call, and like hours later, oh, hello. Like, I'm not one to have my phone near me all the time. So if I was doing Vlogmas, because in the back of my mind, I really like the idea, but just like the idea of like not only like having my phone with me, but then constantly filming things, it's just a little bit like nerve-wracking for me. I don't know. I think I would get burned out with it. And so for right now, I'm just going to take it easy and just do a couple videos a week and go from there. And, I would love to do some vlogs. My birthday's coming up, and then, of course, Christmas, and I'm going to have vacation hours for both of them. And so, time off. And so I'm planning to do, like, weather permitting, some trips. So, yeah, if I can do some vlog footage of that would be great. So anyway, I will let you go. Thanks, BookTube. I'll talk to you soon.